Albania was the only country in Europe to emerge from the Second World War with a larger Jewish population than before the war. This is because the Albanian people protected and sheltered Jews reaching the country from all over occupied Europe, fleeing the atrocities of the Nazi regime and its supporters. As testified by survivors and historians alike, many Albanian families risked their lives for this noble mission. It was a cold November night in Germany, 1938, as Johanna Neumann recalls.
The story really starts with the Kristallnacht or Crystal Night in Germany in 1938, November 1938, when the synagogues were burnt down and Jewish stores were destroyed. And it was really at that point that my father, who until then could simply not believe that Germany would go against its Jews. He had been an officer in the First World War. There had been Germans for generations. And it was very hard, not only for him, I would think probably for most German Jews, to believe that such a thing could ever happen at all. After Kristallnacht, or Crystal Night, he finally came to the realization that there was really no other way out except to leave Germany.
And my little sister, 3.5 years old, was killed, and my mother was killed, grandmother was killed. We, rest of the family, were rescued. We stayed some few days more in Sarajevo. After the funeral, we came back to Belgrade. In Belgrade, there were Germans already present. They occupied the city. They ruled the city. They imposed all the limitations for the Jews. We were obliged to wear the yellow band, yellow track, and we were not allowed to go to school. The men were taken to forced labor, so were the women. It was impossible to move anywhere without being watched or checked, so there were checkpoints at every corner.
Hala jeme ishte disa vjeç që ishte, mas shumë vështirësi na lini një vajzë. Edhe atë në masi kur u bë ajo vajza 2 vjeçe, erdhi kjo puna e Gjermanit që je internoi. Kur e internuan atë, se filluan pastaj me i nda fëmit nga prindrit, e kur ja morën hallostime vajzën nga dora, që ajo me zje kishte pa atë fëmijë ma sa vjetëve martes, ajo hala ime e shkreta, u çmend. Filloi me bërtit edhe morën, kush e di që ai kanë bë, u çmend. Si që tregojnë njerëzit, iku mendja pri mërzis vajzës. Edhe ishte një vajzë që edhe vetë gjermanët i thojshin pupushen, kaq fëmijë i bukur ishte.
Jews lived in Albania and Kosovo working as merchants, doctors and craftsmen. In Albania, there are still Jewish quarters to be found in cities such as Tirana and Vlora, where they had synagogues. In Elbasan, there are still the remains of the Jewish market. Before the Holocaust, there were only 200 Jews living in Albania. During World War II, another 2,000 arrived. In Pristina, Kosovo's capital, the synagogue was built at the end of the 19th century, and the Jewish bazaar was the most famous in this part of the Balkans. Apart from their native languages, the Jews of Albania and Kosovo also learned Albanian, Turkish and Serbian. Hounded and persecuted throughout continental Europe, Jews found a rare safe haven in Albania.
Këto janë fjalët e saj. Ne tha erdhëm në Shqipëri me dokumenta falso. Në aty në kufi ata e kuptuan që dokumentat tona ishin falso, megjithatë na lejuan që të futeshim. Dhe babai im thot mori me qira një kal, na hypën e fëmijëve të vegjël edhe filluam të hecnim me rrugë pa rrugë, derisa arritëm në një fshat të humbur. Dhe atje morëm me qira një shtëpi shumë të vjetër. Në mes të natës sot dëgjuan trokitje te dera. Dhe menduan se ishin gjermanët. Na hiku gjaku, menduan që ky ishte fundi. Megjithatë e hapën derën dhe pan aty një fshatar me gomar. Dhe ai fshatari, o malsori, ju hodhi një thes me miell dhe pa thënë asnjë fjalë, hiku u zhduk në errësirë. Dhe ai unë tha, ai thesi me miell na shpëtoi jetën. Dhe kjo gjë na ka ndodhur gjatë gjithë kohës që kemi jetuar në Shqipëri.
I mean, whenever a person in need would knock to a door of a villager in the middle of the night, and he would see that there is a family who needs help, he would bring them in, feed them, give them their bed, and shelter them, and calm them down. You'll be sure that, rest assured that something first will happen to me. They first kill me, and then they will touch you. These were the words that every one of us heard.
Ikëm prej Mitrovice në Prishtinë. Na ndihmoi një familje kosovare që unë isha 10 vjeçë, atëherë unë nuk e mbaj mend as emrin as kur gjë. Na çoi në një nga fshatrat e Kosovës. Atë kam parasysh gjithmonë ato ulurimat e qejve, ajo dbora në kam me ec. Ishte vështirë shumë, po njeriu qa nuk ban për të shpëtu kokën.
The London newspaper, Jewish Daily Post, wrote on the 14th of July 1935, "It has been a month since the Albanian diplomats in Europe have been implementing the order received from King Zog's government to issue as many Albanian passports to Jews wanting to go and live in Albania." According to the documents of the State Archive in Tirana, the Albanian king, Zog I, invited Jews to come to Albania as early as the 1930s in order to assist the development of the country with their expertise. Most of them obtained Albanian visas, and some were even issued Albanian passports. In 1935, Albert Einstein benefited from Albanian hospitality to transit from Europe to America. He stayed in Durrës for 3 days in the royal mansion and then, equipped with an Albanian passport, continued his journey towards the free world.
Orders from King Zog were to the custom officers, whatever, the police at the borders, not to check Jews, just to let them come in. At any rate, we were fortunate to have visas, and as we found out, we were the only ones that had visas. Everybody else had come, indeed, through Yugoslavia on probably vacation, pretenses of being on vacation to Albania. And when we arrived in March, I think it was March 1st, 1939, much to our own surprise, we were received by other immigrants and found out that there were something like about 60 other Jews from Austria already there.
During the war, Albania and Kosovo were initially under Italian occupation. The local Albanian government utilised its authority to the maximum by refusing to hand over lists of Jews to the German forces. The Jews found shelter in many Albanian households in cities, but when the threat grew too high from the occupying forces' frequent checkpoints, the Jews would go to the mountains pretending to be local shepherds. According to some, Besa, the Albanian sworn oath, with its duty towards guests, was one of the main reasons Albanians helped Jews in need.
Dëgjoja shpesh nga imat këto historirat e shpëtimit e ebrenjve, po çdo gjë më kalonte kështu afër, pranë veshit, sepse për mua më duke gjëja më e zakonshme. Nëse ti ke një mik dhe ke një shok dhe ti je në rrezik, nuk diskutoj që ai duhet të të shpëtoj. Dhe kjo nuk isha vetëm unë që e mendoja kështu si një gjë të zakonshme, po të shkosh edhe të intervistosh ata shqiptar që sot janë shumë të moshuar dhe që kanë shpëtuar ebrenj dhe ti pyesësh ata, pse e bëre këtë? Fjala e parë që del nga goja e tyre është, kjo është gjëja më e natyrshme. Nuk mendoj që mund të jetë ndryshe.
When several hundred Jews from German-occupied Mitrovica in Kosovo were deported to concentration camps in Serbia and later to Austria and Germany, the local authorities started to transfer Jews secretly to Albania. There, they could move more freely, and the remote Albanian mountains and isolated villages provided a safe haven for hundreds of Jewish families.
I had some little experience that I remember. As a little boy, I just went out of our apartment and went out to play on the streets. There was a field of wheat out there, and I was intrigued by the beauty of the wheat as it grows. It was big and plump, and so I went down to the field and took a plume of wheat and looked at the grains, how they grow, how big they are. The farmer noticed it, an old man who was on the field, and came to me and said, "You see, we have guests here, and this is why God sent us a very nice crop this year."
At the time, the Albanian Prime Minister Mustafa Krya wrote to the successor of the Italian king in Tirana, Francesco Giacomoni, and asked him to help in transferring the Jews from Kosovo to Albania, where they could be more protected.
Krya actually went to Giacomoni. Giacomoni is the viceroy in Albania. At this point, he is still in charge. Obviously, the Germans had not occupied Albania yet in 1941. And he went to Giacomoni and he told him, "This is what we're doing. We're distributing these Jews among the Albanian people, etc., gave them papers and names, and so on." And Giacomoni said, "Go right ahead. I will not report this to Rome, and we have done this in some cases ourselves in Italy."
On the 5th of April 1942, 100 Jewish families from Kosovo arrived in Berat, Albania, and 195 individuals went to Kavaja, Albania. A number of Jews were placed in Kruja, Tirana, Fier, Shijak, Shkodra, and elsewhere, the majority of them being employed in local shops, manufacture, and agriculture. In Berat, 38 Albanian families sheltered about 600 Jews arriving from 1942. From Dalmatia, Montenegro, Serbia, and Macedonia came 350 Jews, and over 400 from Greece. According to the Albanian Kanun, the code of conduct, the Albanian household belongs both to God and the guest.
Në një familje shkodrane, që quhet Shaqir Borici, ky ishte bakall edhe ky më pyet mu një ditë, "Po ti më i vajzë, pse merresh me këto biskota, pse i bjen ti këto biskota?"